Yes, Theo, all my beautiful people, how are you doing this evening? As you can see, I am not in beautiful sunny Arizona anymore. I am back in Texas. So, welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. Thank you so much for everyone who is viewing this channel. Thank you so much to everyone who is new. Welcome to the alternate point of view. I appreciate everyone who's been viewing the videos, all of your comments, all of your likes, all of your shares. Please subscribe and like the videos. It helps the algorithm. Over 70% of my viewers do not subscribe to this channel. So please do so because it really helps. And I appreciate you so much. And, if you're already watching, just hit subscribe. It really helps. So tonight you're going to get a twofer because we're going to talk about two different cases, both regarding fathers who, one who allegedly killed his child and the other who actually was convicted of killing his child. So first up, we are going to talk about Christopher Gregor, of course, because this is an ongoing trial that we've been discussing every week. Christopher Gregor is on trial for the murder of his son, Corey. Now, let's recap quickly that Christopher was not in Corey's life for the first 4 years of his life. And suddenly he became a part of his life when he found out that he had a son with Brianna after Brianna went to get public assistance. And they had to get Christopher's DNA to get child support. If you've been following the trial, then you know that the day before yesterday, they had Christopher's parents on the stand without the jury present. Now, the parents, I honestly don't believe helped Christopher as much as the defense wanted them to. I think that it actually hurt him. The father got up there and spoke to Corey when they met him. He got a little teary-eyed about being able to meet Corey for the first time. It was a touching moment, but from the way I took it, the way I understood it to be, Christopher still lived with his parents. He was going to school, getting his degree to work with children. And from what I could tell, I don't think Christopher actually was the one who wanted custody of Corey. I believe it was really more his parents, because the way his father was wording things was, we wanted the best for Corey. We wanted to ensure that Corey was taken care of. We wanted to make sure that Corey had the best education. We wanted to be sure that Corey got this and that. And Christopher's father also said that he was very involved in Corey's education. He was very involved in helping Corey with his homework, and he was very involved in a lot of things to do with Corey, not Christopher. So I find it very strange that it wasn't really Christopher who was the driving force of the custody. And I also find it very strange that a father who has a actual background, a criminal background of battery and abuse and things like that, got custody of Corey. And he was also arrested on drugs, which is the same thing that Brianna has had issues with. So how does a father get custody of a child he's not seen in 4 years when, the mother is having issues? I believe that his parents kind of were guarantors of, the custody situation, if that makes any sense. Also, the mother got on the stand and she was very upset and teary-eyed about when Corey passed away. This is a contrast to the father. The father did not shed a tear when Corey passed away. He didn't cry or anything. talking about Corey's passing. He was really much more concerned about Christopher. And they did rush to the hospital, but Christopher was already gone. Now remember, Corey passed away around 5 o'clock on April 2nd, and Christopher left the hospital. He left his dead son at the hospital, and he fled. He fled the state. And the next thing you know, apparently, once Brianna found out that her son was dead, Brianna's family showed up at Christopher's family's house and were accusing him of murder. Because, as you know, we already discussed that, something happened to Corey between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., according to the medical examiner testimony the day before. So nothing Brianna did. Brianna took him to the emergency room. The emergency room released him. Everything was fine. His organs, his vitals, everything. He had bruising, but everything was fine. Even, that afternoon, after being returned to Christopher took a selfie with Corey, and Corey looked like he was asleep. But was he asleep or was he unconscious? I don't know. Will we ever really know what happened to Corey? Other than what the medical examiner stated, which was he suffered all this blunt force trauma and his organs were literally basically just shattered and smashed. So I am finding it very odd that this man didn't do something to this child. I do believe, based off the testimony I've heard so far, that Christopher did something to this little boy. And I believe that he didn't intentionally try to kill him, but he did kill him, and he got scared of the consequences and fled. And he went to Arkansas, and then he had some female friend meet him there. And apparently, while he was on the run, his car was impounded, his phone was taken away, he had it in airplane mode, no one could get in touch with him. His parents were trying to reach out to him to tell him, like, hey, you need to get back here. People are calling you a murderer. They were saying that Brianna's family were making threats to them, but the judge didn't buy their story. The judge basically said, look, did they threaten your life? Did they make threats to you? What did they do? What were they threatening? Basically, they didn't have anything to back that. They basically just said, they were just calling our son a murderer. So the judge said, well, that's not a threat. That's them saying that your son's a murderer. That's not a threat. Did they threaten your life? Were you in fear for your life? How do you know they were making these threats? You weren't even home. So the judge is finding their story very unbelievable, and the judge is finding it very hard to allow this testimony to be put forth before the jury. So that is what they were trying to decide when they had them testify in front of the judge before they allowed them to testify in front of the jury. So this is what the defense is wanting in as testimony, as to say that Brianna's family was threatening Christopher's family. But Christopher was wiping his nose a lot, like he always does, but I don't think he was crying. I think he was hurt for his parents to have to be up there, which is very strange because he has 2 parents, and I think they have 5 kids. And it seems like he comes from a decent family. I can't really tell, but I'm not really sure how Christopher turned out the way he did. But he's worked with children. He's worked in real estate. Hasn't stayed at any job with kids as a coach or a teacher for really more than a year at each place. So I'm kind of curious as to what his background really is, but he does have a shady background. So I just know that what my biggest concern is they're not going to have another court date with this case until the 15th. Today's the 11th. The 15th concerns me because, sorry. Hold on. Okay, so my concern is there's not going to be another date of trial until the 15th. So that puts the jury out of the courtroom until the 15th, which gives them time to possibly see videos like mine on YouTube. It gives them the possibility to hear things from friends and family. So it taints the jury pool. And I'm really concerned about what this does. Also, I think I've mentioned before that the treadmill video has already impressed in their minds that Christopher is an evil person, right? Although the treadmill incident literally has nothing to do with the actual death of Corey. Now, does it show that Christopher's a bad guy? Does it show that Christopher is an abusive person? Yes. But does it have anything to do with Corey's actual death on the day that he died? It's questionable. Because if you are in the jury, that's literally all you're thinking about. Everything else is pretty much null and void, right? Because all you're thinking of is that treadmill incident. All you're thinking is what he did to that little boy in the treadmill, on the treadmill. So it really doesn't matter at this point any other case they put forth as far as the defense is concerned. So I feel as if that is really prejudicial. I really think that the prosecution needs to stick with what in the heck happened on April 2nd. I think they could have gotten their case across with the 100 complaints that the mother put forth with the abuse allegations about Christopher and Corey. Sorry. Trying to do this video on the down low at work, and anyway. So, as I stated, I think the video is prejudicial because, again, it is literally the only thing the jury has in their mind. So you guys let me know what you think about that, because that's a lot of comments that I've received is about that video. So I really want to know what you think, is if you set the video aside, what are your thoughts on what happened to Corey? And what would you think about Christopher's actions? Do you think, if you can get the video out of your mind, what are your thoughts? So, again, trial will not commence until the 15th. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that that is something that should be concerning? Do you think it's a fair trial at that point? Do you think that if you were the defendant, that you would be getting a fair trial if the jury was out for that long? To be able to have access to the internet, to friends talking, to media, to everything, how would you feel if it were you? I'm just, it's a thing that could be coming to question, and I mean, it could be something that could be made for appeal. I honestly think so. So you guys let me know what you think about that. But that is the latest on Christopher Gregor. Again, this is about Corey, and I want Corey to get justice. That's why I have these questions, because I want Corey to get justice. I don't want anything that's going to come back and take away Corey's justice. So the reason I ask these questions, the reason I bring these things up, is because these are things that can come back on appeal. And these are things that could ruin the justice that Corey deserves. So think about those things in reality, in real world terms, before, everybody gets all up in arms like, oh my gosh, how could she think that? How could she think that this guy doesn't deserve to go down? Yeah, I mean, of course, if he killed his son, he should go down. But these are things you have to think about in the future for appeal reasons, because you have a jury that's out, for a week. Hello, that's time that they're not in court, that they're not getting the facts in court. They're getting facts somewhere else, and biased facts. So, or opinions. And, also they're already prejudiced by the treadmill video. So I'm just thinking later down the line, legally, we want to make sure Corey gets justice. So those are my thoughts as my self-appointed alternate juror self. So the next trial I want to talk about is actually a sentencing trial, is Adam Montgomery. I covered Harmony's case a while back, and this was really a vile, disgusting person. Another father who got custody of his child who shouldn't have gotten custody. He was a felon, a drug addict. He got custody of Harmony, a little girl, 6 years old, just like Corey. He basically starved her, he beat her to death. He made her defecate herself, let her sit in it. He just absolutely did some horrific things to this little girl and lied about where she was, told people she was with her mother. She died in the backseat of their car because they were homeless. He had lost everything due to drugs. She was covered in a blanket, dead. She was stuffed in a duffel bag and thrown away like garbage. He still will not tell where she is. He went to court. He didn't show up to court for any of his trial. He refused to show up to court for any of his trial because he is a controlling narcissist. He feels the need to control everything. He pled not guilty. The trial was horrific to listen to and watch, to listen to the things that this poor little girl suffered and went through. He beat her and beat her so hard, and somehow she managed to survive all the beatings. And when they were kicked out of their home, she was sitting in the car in the back seat, in her little corner of the back seat, and every time she defecated herself, he would beat her more and more until she would black out. And finally, he beat her so much that she died. And then he made his wife was there, not the mother of Harmony, but his wife was there, and he obviously had her help him cover up the situation. And he stuffed her in a duffel bag, threw her away, and tried to hide her death. And he was in court for sentencing, had a very smug look on his face, looked very inconvenienced and irritated to be there, and was hoping to get a lesser sentence because he just felt like, he didn't deserve to be where he was. And, why was he there getting sentenced for this, silly little thing? He ended up getting 45 years, no less than 45 years, and not more than life. So he also has other charges, other felonies. So he will spend the rest of his life in prison. But poor Harmony doesn't get an opportunity. So Adam Montgomery is a horrific person, a terrible, terrible person. And what's crazy to me is during the victim impact statements, the wife who testified against him on the stand, she's also serving time, but she is not serving near as much time as I think she should serve. They bargained with her because they felt she was in an abusive relationship, and she just did what she was told by him because he was so controlling. But she did write a victim impact statement that was read by someone in the courtroom. And her victim impact statement was kind of strange because it didn't say that she was sorry for what happened to Harmony. She told Adam she loved him. She said that she felt like maybe she should have done more, but she was in love with him and that she would always love him because they have children together. And like he still has power over her for her to say that she loves him. And it baffled me that how can you love someone who beat a little girl to death, his little girl to death? I mean, what? It's insane to me. So I found the victim impact statements to be, I mean, the one that was the saddest was from her brother. Her brother was adopted by two men, and they gave their impact statement for their son that they adopted, and her brother. And her brother, that was the hardest one to handle because he said he looks for Harmony all the time. He misses his sister, and you know that he wished she was here, and he remembered how much she loved him and protected him, and he missed her smile and her beautiful blue eyes. And none of these impact statements affected him in any way. Like he didn't even, like, he smirked. He was like, frowning, like whatever, and he was just like pursing his lips like, what am I even doing here? So it really, the only time he showed any real emotion was when the judge gave him his sentence, and he was just kind of irritated and angry. So these are two men that clearly have some control issues and anger issues, and really don't feel like they deserve to be held accountable for their actions at all. So what makes people this way? What makes them think that a child deserves to be treated this way by these men? So Adam Montgomery got his sentence. Christopher Gregor is, I don't know what's going to happen with this case, you guys. I'm really concerned about the amount of time the jury's sitting out. I'm concerned about the appeal process. It's gonna happen. Whatever the jury decides, there is going to be an appeal, and I am very concerned about that. I am concerned that the prosecution did not plan this out well, and I think this is going to work in favor of the defense, and it is going to work in favor of Christopher Gregor. So you guys, let me know what you think about that. I want to hear if any lawyers out there, what your thoughts are. Anybody who's ever served on a jury, let me know what your thoughts are on about that. So yeah, please let me know. I want to hear. Thank you again so much for watching. And your Korean fact of the day is there are different ways to say hello in Korean. When I open my videos, I say either 안녕하세요 or 여세요. 여세요 is informal. 안녕하세요 is formal. So when you answer the phone, you would say 여보세요, And if you're talking to someone formally, you would say 안녕하세요. So just so you know, there are different ways to say hello because you want to show respect or if you want to be more casual. So there you have it. Happy Asian Heritage Month. And that's your fun fact for the day. And 감사합니다 means thank you. And thank you all very much for watching The Alternate Point of View. I'll see you in the next video.